Hey, what's up? It's DJ MadWax coming at you with another video about the Denon SC3700 deck, a deck that I've done several videos on, including tractor MIDI mappings, messing with hybrid MIDI control, doing platter effects, and all kinds of other things. I'm really fascinated with this deck that can pretty much do it all. The next phase of my exploration with these decks is trying to do the cue points and loops on this deck as it was back originally when it was released in 2007. And what I mean by that specifically is setting the various cue points and loop points using the deck itself and writing to a USB thumbstick or thumb drive rather than even using the software to set cue points. It's very interesting to do, and I found it very freeing to not have any sort of software at all. And there's certain tips and tricks that I've learned along the way that also allow me to emulate what I do here, put it onto the thumb drive so it works on the other deck as well, which I'll do in another video perhaps. But what I wanted to show you specifically was that you can nail very, very specific, awesome timing. I'll show you that with this track that I've already completed here. And if you'll zoom in over here on these buttons here, you can see that they're lit up. So these are the cue point 1, 2, and 3. Over here you can see that A and B are lit up for the loop. You can actually use the A as just a cue point number 4 if you don't set a loop. But if you do set a loop, then of course it turns into a loop. And then as with any loop, when you're playing the track, once it hits that point, it will actually just play the loop. So I'm going to show you the timing of this because it's really, I'm really pleased as punch that you can actually do this. And the reason I'm making the video is I didn't understand this trick of how to set these cue points before until recently. So I was always trying to set manual cue points. They were always off. The timing was always off. Now I've learned how to edit them and I thought I'd share that. So here's how you can jump around in the track. As you can hear, it's dead on. And then as you can see, when you get over to the cue point, you can jump to the loop point. So loop point A, when you hit it, it'll jump to that part of the track and then it'll just loop. And go ahead and listen to it and see if you can hear the break. So as you can see, it works pretty tight. I'm really digging it. So one of the things that you need to know is that when you load up the track, if it has a memo, meaning cue points have been set up, it will pop up here and tell you that there's a memo, but it doesn't automatically load. You actually have to click the memo button. It will ask you, it'll say memo call, and if you hit this button over here, it will load it up, and then all the cue points that appear from this track will appear, and then you're ready to go. So again, now when you try to set up another track, you would go and load up a different record that doesn't have cue points. In this particular case, I'm using this track by Klaxon. So it's loaded up, but notice that it still has cue points lit up here. If I were to actually press any of these, it will load back to the track that was in there. So now what I need to do is I need to actually clear these out. So there's a clear button above each cue point, and then to clear out the loop, you hit the flip button, hold it down, and then the A, and then everything's gone. So now if you zoom in on the screen here, you will see that there are no cue points whatsoever. The way to do cue points is you don't do them with the rotating platter. So I'll show you what I mean by that. So we're starting it off. Normally you just hit cue and it's hard to do. But in this case, what you do is you get it kind of at the start. You change this button platter mode to CD mode. Now you'll be able to hear when you rotate to find the first part of the track, it will start snipping it, and that's how you rotate and move until you get just the right snip and you press ear 1. So check this out. And you want to get it just at the beginning of the waveform. So obviously you're doing this by your ears rather than visually. Okay, that's just at the beginning of it. If you go too far, it'll be off. And then you can test it, of course. So there it is, there's a cue point. And that actually feels pretty good to me. It's launching right on the beat. Okay, and then you listen to it for a while. Eventually the beat's gonna kick in, and that's where I'm gonna set up my cue point too. But you can of course go to any part in the track and choose where you wanna put the cue point. So we'll fast forward and try to find a break. So far there's no bass in this. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to find the first part of the bass drum, which I think is right here. And there you go, that's how you set the cue points, right? Now, if you were to leave and just go to another track, in the short term, the memory will still be there and it'll always pop back to this track. But what you need to do is you need to hit Memo. Zoom in over here so they can see Memo set. And then when you click that, the memo is saving. It takes a little bit of time to do. And once the memo is done saving, now this is perpetually tied to this particular record. And then what I do is I actually take the USB that I have back here, I'll pop it into my computer, I'll run a disk utility, and I'll clone it to another thumb drive. Then when I put the other thumb drive over here, if you zoom in over here, onto this deck, they both will have those cue points. And it's been pretty cool to go through. Secondarily, I'm also learning my tracks. Yeah, I know it's not as easy as software, but I'm finding it pretty cool to try to just DJ 100% old school style, at least right after vinyl, and before all the computer stuff started. It's very interesting. Thank you for watching.